everybody. We've been working on this initiative for a long time, and we're so grateful to the Washington Township Foundation for giving us the funding to do this. So we've got all our site coordinators here today. We've got 2 tutors from each site, and we have some special guests joining us too, some volunteers, and some people from the district. There we go. So where do we start?
Okay, all right, so there is a handout on all of your tables, so let's make sure that everyone has one of those. And then we are going to start on the side that should have been up. It says ASA Vocabulary and Math Instruction. So today, in these next couple of hours, we are going to take you through some activities in both vocabulary and math that we know that you'll be doing throughout the week in about a 30-minute after students come and they have snack and things, and do some movement, and then we're going to have about 30 minutes to do some instruction with them. And so we know on Mondays and Wednesdays, those blocks of time will be designated for vocabulary, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays, those blocks of time will be designated for math instruction with the groups of students that you see after school. So what we have for you today, and Jolie and I are just going to share this beginning part. We're going to take you through some of the scaffolding ideas that we have here for instruction, and then through some oral language activities that we want you to be processing students through with these concepts. And then I'll go specifically into vocabulary, and we have word lists for you today, and then we'll go into math with those specifics and what you can do at that time. And so really here what we have are 4 types of scaffolding sequences. And so I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes, a few minutes here, to read through this. I don't want to read it to you, but we do want to go paragraph by paragraph. So let's just take a couple of minutes to read through explicit modeling through verbal example. And as you read through this, be thinking, how could I do this with students? So we'll share out, what would this look like with students after school? A type of modeling that you could do after school with students that you discussed in your group. What would that look like? The modeling, the first piece, as you read through that and talked with your neighbor, what would modeling, what does that really mean in your context? What would that look like?
If nobody wants to talk, I'm going to put Adam on the spot because I was listening to what he was saying, and it was very good because what you said was having them talk, when you're doing their homework, this is taking it more. You know what you were saying?
Yeah, I was discussing how this is more like a critical thinking concept where instead of memorizing or just having the goal of getting homework done, this can give them, like in a group setting, to discuss the problem and talk out the ways in which they solved it, kind of learning the process of determining answers instead of memorizing answers or just trying to learn things for a test.
Kathy?
This screams problem solving to me, and just the kind of the key strategy of being able to, read the problem, focus on the question being asked, the information, kind of making a diagram out of it, talking it through, making it come alive, because in a math class, when a student sees a story problem, they just see this black hole of nothing. And so just to be able to model that, to take that apart, I always start with kids asking them, let's reread the question at the end. We'll go back to the story afterwards, but let's know what we're trying to get at. And then kind of, we mention the number of hours that the child worked in the question. Do we have some information about that earlier on? And just making it come alive, because otherwise it's a bunch of sentences that kids who are struggling readers just have no idea what to do with that. And they don't have to be afraid of that. They can really have some skills that we can model for them to show them what to do.
Exactly, and so what's important, I think, to remember here is that when you're modeling as the teacher, as the tutor, as the adult, this is when you have the pen in hand. That's how I like to think about it. And so oftentimes, if we're not explicitly modeling, students aren't going to know what's expected. They are going to be overwhelmed because they don't know they're there to learn. So the whole idea is, as the adult, you're going to show them exactly, and you're going to model for them. And so then we can go to the next step after you've done that, and we can talk about explanations.
Okay, so let's do the same thing again. Take a few minutes to read this paragraph on direct explanations and re-explanations, and then we will have another turn and talk with a question of how you can use it.
We were discussing it. We said that if they understand the concept, but they express back to you how they determine the answer to that problem, a lot of times you can have a greater understanding of whether they truly do understand the concept, and them expressing it back to you in their own words can help their peers, because how they express how they determine something can make a lot of sense to their peers when they hear one of their friends saying how they determined it, so it can help their other friends with the learning process.
Absolutely. And what I like about this section, to highlight is just this tell me more. And I think oftentimes we can, as adults, automatically correct children and say, yes, you're right, or no, you're not right, because we don't, we're jumping to conclusions, but we don't necessarily have their full understanding. And so I love to say, tell me more, because I'm always surprised where they're coming from, because it's never quite where you think they're coming from, right? So this is developing their oral language and taking their thinking to the next level, because they're really having to explain to you what they're thinking, and usually goes in a deeper way.
We said the same thing, but we said more to like personal, when we're dealing with discipline, instead of just correcting them and saying, you're not supposed to be over there. Or, when they're acting up, tell them to be quiet, try to say, I would say, what's going on? Why are you over here when you're supposed to be here? Because their home life has a lot to do with how they respond to you when they come to school, or something might happen during the day, and you need to find out really what's going on so you can get past that and they can see, okay, she's here to try to care, see what's going on, so we both can get through the day.
Yeah, right. Excellent example.
And then one more thing for the math piece of it, because we're talking a lot to teachers this year about this and really getting the kids to explain, not only explain their answer, but explain why it's a reasonable answer, because kids will just, thinking of story problems, they just see two numbers in a problem and they just automatically add, and it's like, well, does that make even any sense, to get them to explain that, and is that reasonable? And that's a word I'd like you to add to your vocabulary to use with the kids. Is that reasonable? Does that make sense? We will turn to page, it says 26. The first game I want to talk about is Circle, Circle. And this doesn't take anything at all. What I like about this book, and for you, is the little blurb that goes with each game is very easy to follow, and you can set it up in no time at all. So Circle, Circle just means that they each have a piece of paper. They can have a piece of paper separate or together, and then but there could be lines down here because you want them to, they're going to be writing the equations. One thing you're going to get, I'm so excited, I love it when I get the order things and actually get them. So you're going to get some dice, and so we're going to pretend like we're rolling these, because I don't want to open these up because these are Allison bills, so don't forget I took them out of Allison bills. So you're going to roll the dice, and the first one says 6, so they would put 6 dots in here. And the next one said 2, or you can use cubes or beans or these marker things that we've got here, anything like that. They would just put them in there. Actually, you would use something, not draw them. I'm drawing them for you. And so then they would say 6 plus 2 equals 8. We want them to write the equation. Okay? That's an expression. This is an equation. So we want them to write what they've done, and then they take those out, they roll the dice again, put the first number of markers in here, the second number of markers in here, they talk about what they got, they write the equation. Okay, so this is just a